As you can see, we're going to have two flights today, one at the Black Wolf County Boat Launch on Lake Winnebago, that is south of the city of Oshkosh, then one on the northeast side of Lake Poygan, that is where the tiny house is located. These were voted on by you guys, a whole whopping 31 of you, but those 31 people I absolutely love. If you want to take part and see where these flights are going to be each week, just subscribe to my channel on YouTube, then go over and vote for the ones that you want. I do have to follow those FAA rules when I'm over there, but at least you kind of get an opportunity to participate and dictate where the flights are going to be. Primarily, I'll be flying on the west shore of Lake Winnebago. Let's cue up that elevator music for some safety. So, since the bridges are out, that generally means people will be driving out on Lake Winnebago. To drive on the lake, you have to cross bridges many times to get over some cracks and some dangerous areas on the lake. To proceed over those, when you are on the bridges, only go one vehicle at a time. Leave some space, about a car length, preferably two, between the car in front of you and the car going over the bridge. Only go one vehicle at a time. Before you get on that bridge, remove your seat belts, unlock your doors, and crack your windows. Proceed slowly. Remember, the bridges are maintained as a courtesy by the fishing clubs. If you don't go slow, they may pull those bridges. There's also donation boxes located on those. Feel free to throw some money in, help support the clubs. If you can't afford to do that, simply thank a club member. Now, let's get on to those drone ice conditions starting at Lake Poygan. Okay, here we are over at Lake Poygan at Boom Bay. The tiny house would be behind us right now. That little box right there is where you can donate money for the roads that they have plowed. I'm just going to show this clip right here because when you get out on the ice, you're going to have to hook hard to the left, and then you're going to be able to cross a crack over here. They do have some tree lines out marking where that's at, which is super duper convenient. So you're going to want to follow that, but make sure that when you're out here, you're going slow on that. I saw two people when I was there hit that ice really fast, actually, and that kind of degrades the launch. So take it easy and pay attention to things. Now, this was taking on February 6th in the later afternoon, so things may have changed. There is a large crack you're going to see out here on Poygan on this area, over in the Boom Bay area, again, by the tiny house, where it actually runs kind of, I don't know, I guess it's more or less east-west, but it's kind of hard to tell on that lake the way it runs, the way the angle of that crack is. But you'll get to see it here in a second, and then we're going to look at this in a little more depth, especially at the very end of this video. So that's the crack that you see there running all the way. Okay, there's the shore. There's a point that sticks out over there and it comes all the way back. And there's where the tiny house is off in the distance and the launch. So let's get out to the flight location now. Now we are looking west like we always start on Lake Poygan. Remember, everybody, I did not actually go out on the ice. This is only what I see from the drone. Keep that in mind. Remember, no ice is 100% safe ice. There's that crack, and we are looking at the north shore. Kind of put a blue line there showing that there is some open water by that crack. So if you're going by a crack line, use some caution. There might be splinter cracks that could cause it to act like an ice cube in a old-fashioned, which may flip around and not be a good thing. Off in the distance right there, I have the launch circled with the tiny house in the background. That's where the access is. That circle right there is where you will be crossing the crack. So be very, very cautious and drive slow when you're going on and off the ice. It will help preserve those launch or the conditions where you get on the ice. I guess the boat launch, I don't know, the launch site. I don't know what you call that. Access. Yes, we'll call it access. That line right there is where the road stretches out. They do have a tree line going to the west part of the lake. And here we are at a lower elevation, same view to start. We just dropped down to 150 feet from 375. I'm capped at how high I can fly by FAA rules. It looks like it's pretty good travel out there. A lot of bare patches of ice on there with some snow berms built in. and we got that large crack. Now, at the very, very end of this video, I do take a gentle flight set to some music following that crack. It is a pretty impressive crack out there. Tiny house in the background right there with the launch or the access point in the circle. And there is a car actually going over the spot where the crack is. Actually, it was a truck, not a car, but you get what I'm saying. We're looking approximately east now. I would never recommend hooking to the east real far. There's generally thinner ice and open water over that way. This is just from years of flying the drone out here now. So remember, these directions that you're seeing are approximate. The car is about to hit that tree line that follows that road out there. So really nice that they do that. Now, here's another view of that crack. This is just a still picture of this, but look at all the open water that you see on this thing. I'm going to recommend you kind of stay clear of the cracks. If you got to get close to them, use some caution. Again, there could be splinter cracks in there, and those cause free floating chunks of ice, which your vehicle or you could flip off of. Now, through the magic of editing, here we are at Black Wolf. Now, Black Wolf is south of the city of Oshkosh. It's north of Wentz on the Lake, so north of the city of Fond du Lac. And things actually look pretty good out here. It's really weird when you fly out of this area right now because it is really on that west shore of Lake Winnebago. It was really, really snow covered. And then as you got out to the main lake, you'll see that here in a second, it actually became less and less snow covered, which was kind of interesting. So here I am speeding up the flight a little bit, some snowmobilers out there, and look at that. Just looks like boring, just clear virgin snow, if you want to call it that. And then as we get out here a little bit further, you're going to actually see some, I don't know what else to call it, some topography built in. Look at that. There it is starting right now. So that's where the bumpy ice is going to start. And we're actually going to get some maybe little bumps out there and some berms and whatnot. Now, off in the distance, you can kind of see a crack that is out there, so be cautious. It looks like looks like a north-south, more or less north-south crack that has formed out on the lake. We're going to start our magical spin here in just a minute on Lake Winnebago. We always start that spin to the north. I'm going to remind everyone again, I did not go out on the ice. This is only what I see from the drone. In a quick PSA, next week is going to be sturgeon spearing. I will have more flight locations, but it will be only one flight at each location. Here we are looking to the north. Again, that's the east shore of Lake Winnebago coming into view. You can kind of see that crack line kind of in the middle of the screen. Just literally filling up the middle of the screen. Things look pretty good, but I would be very cautious around any of those cracks. Again, I did not go out on the ice. Use caution when you are out there, just to be on the safe side. Here's the islands coming into view that are over in front of Wentz on the Lake. Wentz is a good place if you want to get some food or access the lake from that area also. We're looking south now towards the city of Fond du Lac, and the west shore is actually coming into view about right now. So while we're spinning around here looking at the west shore, you can see that area where it is actually pretty darn smooth snow. Like I said, it comes off maybe, I'm going to guess about 500 yards off of the launch or tight to the shore. Looks like all the snow blew right over there from the east. So now we're looking back to the north towards the city of Oshkosh. We're dropping down in elevation. This is again starting looking north, and we can see where I call it the bumpy ice or bumpy snow. You can see it because it's actually those little colored patches. I know that sounds obvious. This is hard to do these narrations. You guys wouldn't think so, but it is. Things look pretty darn good. If you are not a subscriber to the show and want to get this content whenever you can, just go over to YouTube, hit the subscribe button. It does not cost you anything. It's really nice and it helps me out. And also, if you could go over to YouTube and give this video a thumbs up, I would appreciate that also. Like I was saying earlier, I will have more flights next week for everyone that's going out sturgeon spearing. I will cover the majority of the west shore of Lake Winnebago. I may be able to get over to the east shore, but that is a lot harder for me to get to on a regular basis. I work on the west side of Lake Winnebago. Remember, I do these for free, so be a little gentle on your comments. I've had a couple lately that weren't so nice. This is only what I see from the drone. I'm going to stop talking. Let's get over to this gentle flight right now. Stay on the right side of the ice, everyone. Really appreciate you coming along with me on this.